if you're able to pull it off.
It should work out hopefully pretty good if that matchup does happen, but I had this entirely making its way into the competitive meta. Ranked games, high elo, you don't see that heavily, but really going into competitive, and especially because you do have this communication with your teams and the combo was the like Leon is a main on top of that Camille, so that's just going to be hitting two birds with one stone. So the execution in this jar from Team Queso, I got to say, is relatively strong as they're going to add a Jarvan to the mix in terms of zoning or potential to keep Ziggs at a pretty safe range. I think also works pretty well. Then going to the final pickup is going to be Shyvana. Let's not forget Shyvana, early game in the jungle, not all that strong. She's going to be pretty weak at that. So if they want to go for some potential engages upon level 2, level 3 on that Shyvana, try and deny her, that is possible, but especially in the current meta of Wildrift, you can't allow to give those Drakes over to Shyvana. If you do so, you're going to be looking to be in a really, really sad spot. But Tribe, they showed many times...
Taking a quick look at the team compositions in general, Max. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of heavy engage from Team Queso on that Camille, that Jarvan, and even the Broughton can follow up. And actually a similar amount on the opposing side from that Shyvana, Alistair, and Fiora. But how do you see these team fights starting to go, especially as we get towards the late game?
I mean, towards the late game, really, is going to be depending, especially on I think how Andres Z is going to play with this Jarvan. I think that Jarvan here is going to be a really good potential of engaging upon the enemy team because there's a little bit of a lack of mobility, I would even say. Alistar can get locked in. The Shyvana, after using the ultimate, she can get locked in. Really, the zoning potential of the Cataclysm of Jarvan is going to be something to be very, very cautious about. And if he gets ahead, then that's going to be forcing a lot of flashes and just summoners away from Tribe to be able to survive that initial encounter. So I think that Jarvan here is going to be a big winning condition. But especially Tribe here is going to be a very good scaling composition. If they do not fall behind in the early game, especially thanks to this Fiora and the Shyvana, and if they do get those Drakes, I think that Tribe could be looking to take it. So I think these are pretty good drafts on both teams, but they both have very clear winning conditions, especially for Tribe, that they can't afford to fall behind early game.
Team Queso with some excellent early ward patterns as well. I mean, you can see they've got that ward over towards the Raptors. They'll have spotted Emperor over on that Shyvana on those Raptors, which means that they'll be able to track that Shyvana's jungle path. They can play safer in that bot lane. A fantastic early deep ward coming through, and they don't really trade too much. But the top lane actually starting to pop off a little bit. Probably Camille is one of the very few champions, I'd say, that can stand up to Fiora in a 1v1, especially in these sort of early trades.
Especially thanks to that little barrier, the little shield you can get every few seconds. It does make things a little bit easier for you. But one thing also is that Fiora, when you go for the repost, it can deny away and cancel the Hectic Ultimatum. If you time it properly, of course, it's all about timing, but it's something that I learned literally like 5 days ago. I did not know that was possible. So Fiora does actually do pretty good in that matchup upon hitting level 5, especially where she can deny a big portion of that kit. Emperor going to go for the Scuttle control towards the top side, making sure they can keep jungle control, and in terms of vision at least, and know exactly where Andrew said is going to go, but they're going to trade Scuttle towards the bottom side, so pretty much even Steven at this early stage. Nothing substantial is going to come out of this of these first 2 minutes.
Hang on a minute, because Andrew said did steal the blue buff from Tribe's side of the jungle there.
Oh, yeah.
And that was all thanks to the ward on Raptors that he was able to do that you felt he could go in. He knew where the Shyvana was. He knew that the jungle path was going to be to prioritize that top scuttle and took it away before taking his own red buff. Emperor's trying to get a little bit of presence back in his favor by taking the top side jungle camps, the Grump and the Wolves there, but I'd take that buff trade any day. The fortunate thing is, obviously, Shyvana not a mana-based champion, which means that isn't going to hit too hard, especially on those clear speeds. Both junglers now towards the top side.
They're going to move on forward, and especially because Emperor was able to get himself the Wolves. Andrew said is currently up to only level 4, about to hit level 5 though, so he's going to get that power spike very soon with the Cataclysm. But Emperor, I'm surprised to see Shyvana invade. I really rarely see that, and it does deserve a lot of respect for that one, because if you do get spotted out by some good vision position by Team Queso, things could go sour really quickly. But you know what? It worked out fine. She's already making her way towards level 6. She should be there very soon. Especially, you got to prepare for that next Drake, for the first Drake, should I say, is going to be a Mountain Drake. Not the most important for a Shyvana, of course, is going to be Infernal, but still, you need to get that one to make sure she can trade later on into the fight. Though top lane, Acolyte in a pretty dire spot, going to have to use Hook Shot to make his way to safety, but overall, pretty chilled and laid back game. The gold lead is only 200, so nothing substantial has happened for the time being.
Not just yet. And a lot of that gold lead is actually on the Shyvana from going in early onto that onto the blue side there for Team Queso. So picking that up, that's going to give her a little bit of a lead. It allows her to pick up the Sheen and the Stinger. So looking to build towards the Triforce there. A lot of people around the mid lane as in goes the Hextech Ultimatum over onto Snitch. Follow up from the Jarvan. The Cataclysm's there. Shockwave not going to do a thing, and that is one dead Orianna. First blood goes to Team Queso.
That was a 5-man rotate in mid, exactly perfectly timed from the side of Team Queso, and there you go, the synergy is on point. And this is also amazing because they just were able to find themselves that kill before their own reset, go back to base, get themselves a few items off of that 500 gold that gives you that first blood, and now they can potentially try and prepare. But Shyvana and Product is already there, was Doom and Friend ready to take that fight for themselves. They're going to go straight away onto that position, but a collapse is slowly going to be coming on through from Team Queso.
No vision as well for Team Queso, so they have to be careful, but they move forwards. They trample down. Doom takes a lot of damage, gets the honey fruit, gets a little bit of HP back. In comes the Glacial Fissure, and the knockback comes through as well. It's a 1v2 on the sidelines for the Alistar, zoning away the rest of the team, but in comes the Grand Challenge as Fiora enters the fray from the river. Look at a flash onto Andrazed, who flashes away in turn. The nice stun there from the Frostbite on the Braum will slow things down just for the moment, and no one going down except for Ibu. On that Corki goes a little bit too deep with not quite enough backup. A kill found and Drake claimed.
I feel so sad for Ibu. He put so many players of Tribe low, and unfortunately they were not able to convert that in any kills whatsoever. So the attempt, I got to say, from Ibu was clean, but the lack of backup from his team alone made it really hard for him to continue on that fight. Though mid lane, Snitch gonna put the pressure down onto Team Queso. They're gonna have to give up on that one despite having the Ziggs. You see that because they have the Ziggs, they're looking to get that tower extremely low so they could potentially proc the passive of Ruiz, but unfortunately not able to make it happen. But we talked about how important this Drake was going to be for the Shyvana, and she was able to get it, so she's off to a good start. But 2 Drakes, 3 Drakes is when things start to get a little bit scary, so it's still not over for Team Queso, but they just can't afford to give any more jungle presence to Emperor, otherwise things might start to look a little bit dire for them.
This is the power of Shyvana as well, right? Level 8 right now. A level up on Andrazed. That means Smite does more damage. That means they're going to have more pressure over these objectives as well. With Herald coming up in 30 seconds, that's crucial.
That's going to be important. Memorize going to be moving his way down. Also, we've got to keep in mind the Herald is going to be up in the next 20 seconds. So, might be having another fight forced away by Tribe, even though the goal lead's only of 300. So, it's really nothing when you are 6 minutes into the game. Itemization pathing also, Triforce already going to be purchased for the Camille, so that's going to be a first initial power spike for Acolyte, and the follow-up upon those engages on that Hectic Ultimatum will be a little bit stronger for Team Queso overall, so they're looking pretty good. But 2 Triforces also, Shyvana and Fiora are going to go for that one. A lot of AD actually on the position of Tribe, so especially for the likes of Memorized on this Braum, a lot of armor, and you'll be surviving quite a long period of time in those engages.
Definitely. I mean, he's going to be super crucial to protect the backline from the engages coming in from the Shyvana, coming in from Leon as well on that Fiora. Very, very important there. The vision game currently going back and forth here, Max, as Team Queso get a deep ward, but they're being zoned away from the river.
Going to be pushed away, especially that Scuttle is going to be great to push away. Team Queso deny them from potentially going for the Herald, but they're feeling confident. They're going to initiate on it. Just a few pokes left and right, not too much happening. But there you go. Camille, Acolyte, and Ruiz going to be joining up in the mid lane position. They are going to be colliding and taking control of the river, making it a little bit hard, especially for Tribe to get together. But during that time, Leon is going to be split pushing in the bottom side. So this is not going to be a great long term for Team Queso, as they just might lose the tower.
The advantage you get, oh well, I'll talk about that in a second. In comes the flag and drag Cataclysm onto the backline. A lot of damage over onto Snitch, but they're not going to be able to find anything. That's Herald stolen away by the Kaiser. And it looks like they're going to get a little bit more. No, they don't want to chase Andrazed again on the sliver of HP. But in comes the Hextech Ultimatum from Acolyte, and they trade it for a kill. In the bot lane, what can this Fiora do? Looks like the turret is going to fall. Not only do they get the Herald, but they get that tower as well.
This is actually a really good time to take these kind of fights for both teams, because they know that normally the Fiora and also the Camille do not have teleport yet in their kit. They should be getting it by the next Drake spawning up very soon, so that's going to be very important. But no teleports, they could feel a little bit more confident. But luckily enough for them, Acolyte was close enough to pop in, get the Hectic Ultimatum on top of the Shyvana, and maybe deny a bit of a scaling. But now the resets are coming on through. The next Drake is going to be Infernal, and we know how important the Infernal is going to be for the likes of the Shyvana to add some true damage to her overall kit. So they're going to go and get that one hopefully very soon. We are looking for Team Queso and Tribe to start initiating, getting some jungle control towards that pit. As in the mid lane, might have a little bit of fight happening, but both teams just going to be putting a little bit of back and forth damage on top of each other.
Yeah, just a little bit of poke, just a little bit of positioning from either of these teams. The main goal difference at the moment, Max, you can see it's about 2k overall, is on Shyvana and Kaiser. At the moment, both about 1k ahead of their counterparts, and that lead is starting to open up. With this dragon coming through, we'll see if they can put that money to good use. Having just backed as well, that's the perfect time to be taking a fight with this advantage. Camille this time going to be hovering in the offlane.
Yeah, Firora's going to be already into the mid lane position, so you're ready to join up onto Riz right off the bat.
Oh, the riposte coming through to block a little bit of the damage. Out comes the Valkyrie to see Ibu to safety. That's the Rift Herald popped as well. Draw them towards the mid lane. They took the dragon in the middle of all of that, and in comes the Glacial Fissure, but it's not going to slow them down one jot. Ibu now under pressure as the flash forwards comes through. Shyvana with the final blow. Takes a little bit of damage there from Ruiz, but it's not going to be enough to dissuade them from continuing to move forwards, and it is decimation in the mid lane. Tribe stamp their mark here, and the Herald trudges towards victory.
Excellent usage of the Herald 2 here. They're going to find themselves 2 towers plus the Infernal Drake, and that's going to be also amazing for that Shyvana. Really, everything is just lining up perfectly for them. Sure, I think they did lose a few more players they could have maybe kept alive, especially because they did commit to that tower dive. They lost the Alistar and also the Shyvana, unfortunately, but the amount of trade that went in their favor, especially in terms of overall gold and the objectives in mid, is going to give them so much more control. And when the Baron is just about to spawn in the next 35 seconds, now because you picked up the first and also second mid lane tower, you get full control and ownership of the jungle of Team Queso, and Tribe can just roam around the place, do whatever the hell they want. And Team Queso, unfortunately, if they take fights towards this riverside, towards the mid lane or mid part of the map, they just can't retreat anywhere. It is going to be making it super complicated for them to disengage and find a safe spot to fight from. So overall, Tribe, this is a huge win on their side. Now the Baron is going to be up in the next 10 seconds, and you can see that Tribe are already starting to take a little bit of vision control towards this riverside, as though Andrew said, it's got to be careful. Friend, unfortunately, not going to be able to get that CC to connect just yet.
Ooh, just zoning away. It's zoning damage that you're taking there. Just using the health bar to intimidate them. You know, can work sometimes, but not this time around. You remember about 2 minutes ago when I said there was about a 1k gold difference between the jungler and the AD carries counterparts? That's now expanded to 2k off the back of it. Oh, okay. Over in the Dragon lane, Acolyte just about able to flash away to safety, but at the cost of a tower. And again, the pressure is huge. This is the power of Fiora, right? This is the power of those split pushes. Very few champions right now can stand up to it. There's just so much damage that you can't shirk. And especially when there's objectives over the rest of the map, you have to go and deal with that.
This is just the amazing part also for Tribe. They already picked up the 2 mid towers, and now they can just apply pressure onto the side lanes. It would be even better if they could find himself an extra inhib tower into the mid lane position to create that natural pressure thanks to the overpowered minions. So they should be good. But on the bottom side, a little bit of a 1v1 happening, but Acolyte is not going to commit to it just yet, as his ultimate Hectic Ultimatum is not going to be available. But Leon coming around, and you know that Leon is always going to be looking for those skirmishes. He's going to be checking it out. Acolyte going to be spotted, so he's going to have to delay a little bit of that backport for himself. But 11 minutes into the game, talked about the gold lead, already almost making our way towards 10,000 gold lead in a mere 12 minutes. This is looking amazingly well for Tribe. But let's not forget that here we could still have a nice comeback from Team Queso. Acolyte's done it a few times where he finds a Hectic Ultimatum on an extremely valuable target, and off of that they get the man advantage, but they tend to crumble after that. As though in the bottom side, Leon Acolyte, another 1v1 attempt, but there's just a lot of back and forth, and they're not ready to fully commit.
Not quite yet. If he can get the X-Tap Ultimatum onto Doom, it could be big, but we'll have to see if he's able to position well enough to make that happen. A lot of damage from the Orianna onto the front line of the Braum. That's going to push them back into their own jungle, away from this Baron objective.
Going to push their way out. The 2 teleport... No, actually, there's only 1 teleport. I just realized the Fiora does not have teleport yet. Ooh, that's going to be a big deciding factor. She might want to go back to base and purchase it ASAP, because otherwise the Camille can join up on the fight, but the Fiora just can't. And that's where the ties could heavily go in favor of Team Queso if they play their cards correctly. In product, oh, a little bit of a taunt with a backport in front of Team Queso. Luckily, he did not get engaged, but the Drake is going to come up in the next 20 seconds, so you are expecting something to happen by then.
Again, Leon and Acolyte going back and forth on this Dragon lane right now, not really poking too much. This is what Tribe want, right? They have a massive advantage. As long as they're going even on the CS, they can just keep pushing forwards, keep pushing at these turrets and get that Fiora even further into the lead, try and take it out. I say in the lead, actually 100 gold behind Camille right now, and Dragon actually going to be prioritized. We talked about how important they were.
Oh, steal! You got it!
Oh my goodness me.
But the Baron is
Super Mega Inferno Bomb. Nice one.
Easy Baron for Improduct, though. He gets that one. They're going to try and trade mid-turrets, though, which I think is a good idea.
Shockwave?
And they're not going to come out. That was a very interesting trade happening, but there you go, Cataclysm and onwards.
Okay. Andrazed able to jump back in. The Shockwave was used early on and the knockups are there. There's the Hextech Ultimatum. Will be dropping down the Fiora into the fight. Now they can start to move forwards. They've still got Ibu very full on HP right now. Acolyte taking a little bit too much damage from Doom. And this is a turnaround from Tribe. They're using that gold advantage and they're slapping it back in the face of Team Queso, who found a good engage. But at what cost, Max? 4 players go down. Fiora the only one to fall. And this might just be the final push.
You can really see how different it is when Shyvana has that Infernal Drake. The damage coming out of her hurt is not even fun to deal with, though. They're just going to crack open the mid lane tower, and they're going to be looking to close off this entire game, and they got themselves the empowered minions, they got the buff too, and this is going to be a 1v4 for Acolyte.
It looks like they will get a little bit of help there from Andrazed, but the damage on the Nexus just too strong. No way you're going to stop that Shyvana in her tracks, not at this stage. A by-the-book, excellently executed objective game there from Tribe.
Tribe mainly down to how the fight was happening for Acolyte and also Leon. And we saw it also, Acolyte, the moment he was able to hit that Hectic ultimatum on that Fiora, it was just over for Leon. He can't really do too much. He can't move around, and he can't hit his pass.